Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Red Sea podcast. This is Dennis, as always, coming to you from the temporary, different background, the the vacation background, because RSP is gonna be here any place and anytime. Today is gonna be more of a chill show, not that organized, not that focused. I just wanted to hop on here and catch up on some updates, catch up on some transfers that are going on, catch up on a possible upcoming Don deal, and to have a final, perhaps clearer preview on Tuesday's game, on the very important game, the season-making game. I won't say season-breaking, but it's definitely season-making game against Nijmegen. And yeah, there's not that much to catch up on, so I don't expect this show to go like an hour. But there is definitely a lot of important stuff to talk about. If you see me looking this way, sadly, I have to put my notes this way and not directly at the camera, so you'll see my head flipping constantly for those of you that are watching the video, because I have a lot of notes written down. Greetings to everyone that's already here. Greetings and hello. I hope you all are having a good night, good afternoon, have had a very good Saturday. We're creeping closer and closer to that looming second leg against Nijmegen. But we got some clearer thoughts now about the second leg and a very clear image of the general status of Nijmegen as the first game of the Eredivisie has been played, in which Nijmegen lost 1-2, but we'll get into that a bit later. I do want to start off by talking about all the ins and outs. I do want to start off by going over the appointment of our new technical director and go over some people going out and go over mainly the one case that seems to be getting closer and closer to being officially done. First things first, in what probably is one of the most important bits of business in regards to Olympiacos in general, and not just to Olympiacos in regards to the group. I know people hate the term, but it has to do with Olympiacos, it has to do with Ave, and it has to do with Forest. And that's the appointment of Jeffrey Moncada, who has been appointed the technical director for all three of the teams, most importantly Olympiacos, but also Ave and Forest. The former Milan and Monaco man, because people seemingly forget that he has done some very important business for AS Monaco, as well has assumed an umbrella role, quote unquote, to oversee scouting, networking, player recruitment, transfers, and everything in between. And it seems like his business has already begun, as he was here to watch the first leg against Nijmegen, and Marinakis has already talked with him in regards to the necessary very necessary transfers needed for Olympiacos. I know, I get the frustration. Of course, this concerns the entire group and not just Olympiacos. I get the frustration up until a point. I share the frustration, but the positive thing is that we are talking about a well-renowned, a proven technical director that will help Olympiacos in a time and in a state that help is very much a necessity going forward. I'm more mad that the guy got here on the 7th of August rather than the fact that it concerns the entirety of the group. But still, he's off to work, as it seems, pointing out some of his track record that I really want to point out. He is the man that got Kylian Mbappe to AS Monaco. And for Milan, I'd argue that his main and most proven names that he brought in are Mike Maignan and perhaps Pierre Kalulu. I am positive that he will work very well with Darko, with Miguel Cardoso, and I am very positive that he will fit very well into the system of Olympiacos and help bring in some, as I said earlier, very necessary and quality reinforcement most of all. Two very similar comments coming in at once. He had an amazing working relationship with Conceição at Milan. I'm afraid Mendilibar won't be the coach for much longer. And the comment following after says, my opinion, if we get knocked out on Tuesday, Mendilibar will leave Olympiacos. Yeah, no, that's a whole different convo. I don't think really, as much as it's been going around, I really don't think that Olympiacos are looking at Conceição. I wouldn't put my hand in the fire to say that Mendilibar's position is secure right now. And especially if we get knocked out, I wouldn't say that it's secure. But I don't think Marinakis and I don't think Olympiacos would go to the lengths of sacking him immediately. I think that if stuff goes wrong, knock on wood, I don't want to think that it will, because we all know Mendilibar, we all know what he can do. But if stuff goes wrong, I would think that we would perhaps be talking about a change around the first national team window, not now. But it's definitely a convo, sadly, because Olympiacos are currently in a bit of a gray area, a bit of a dead zone, because we are seeing the same exact things happening. So hopefully, fingers crossed, because as I've said before, and I'll say it many times, of course, Mendy is under criticism, because if stuff starts going wrong, then as with any club, something has to change. And as a great friend of the show and a great mentor, Pavlos Achtouris said, if the recipe is not working, change the recipe. And if the recipe doesn't get changed, change the cook. Mendy will get leeway, he has to. And I'm certain that Mendy will change stuff. Not certainly change his play style, but I'm certain that Mendy will change stuff, and I'm certain that with the right reinforcements, we'll see the Olympiacos we know and love. So up until that conversation may come up, I just want to say that, of course, Mendilibar is under criticism, but up until that, I don't think we are anywhere near to serious talks about a coaching change yet. Now, if Olympiacos goes to the Netherlands and loses, then we'll catch that convo again. But personally, I don't think there is any serious chance that we get knocked out by Nick Nijmegen. I really don't. But again, knock on wood, if something like that happens, then we'll talk about this subject again. Exactly. I'll get to that right after I finish talking about the technical director. Among the departures, we have a player who was in the starting lineup for the immortal final of May 29th, 2024, and we'll get to him first. Just some final words about Geoffrey Moncada. I just want to urge people to be positive, to urge people to be patient, and to not connect the fact that he is looking out for all the teams to negative impact immediately. Be positive and be patient. We will judge the transfers when the transfer window is closed. I believe that we'll see positives. I know that sounds a bit ridiculous given what we have seen up to now, but wholeheartedly, I believe that we'll see positives. And getting into the transfer talk a bit more in detail, I do want to focus on this comment now mainly and say that Francisco Ortega has officially left Olympiacos to go to the Millonarios, to go to River Plate, going back to his home country, playing for one of the best clubs in that country. Francisco Ortega left an insanely positive stint at Olympiacos in the past 3 years. He was nowhere near the perfect left back. I'm never going to disagree with that. But we are talking about a player that got very overhated. We are talking about a player that gave a lot to the club. We are talking about a player that was undeniably one of the focal points, one of the mainstays in that insane run to the UEFA Conference League. And we're talking about a player that hardly ever left the starting 11, bringing a lot of unique positives to Olympiacos. I think he gave it his all. I think he gave everything he could to this club, and it's a transfer, and it's a collaboration that ends with nothing but respect and love. Ortega lifted everything he could. That incredible Conference League, one league title, one Greek Cup, and one Greek Super Cup. He had some incredible seasons. He had out and out stat-wise 7 total goal contributions, and he was honestly one of the most reliable pieces in the long term in that run he made in total, I think, with Olympiacos, having seen all the 3 years of his stay here. I think he will forever be remembered as reliable and as a pure Argentine robot that gave it his all for this team to succeed. And as he said, he will be a fan of Olympiacos from all the way across the world, and will have an extra reason to keep up with River Plate once in a while. That's for damn sure. Yeah, okay, I get both of these comments. I don't know if your view will materialize and if we'll see positive developments before the transfer window closes. But as you wrote on Instagram and Twitter, it is very positive that we have a technical director. I'm not happy that it happened in August, though. Me neither. I have been yelling, not just this year, ever since the departure of Antonio Cordon. I've been yelling about the necessity of a technical director at Olympiacos, but in a very commonly used phrase, I'll say that it's better late than never. And again, we're not just talking about a technical director, we are talking about a very proven technical director that finds a role to fit right in and to honestly prove himself and prove the standards that he has already set to European football, because he has set a standard for us to look forward to. In regards to continuing transfers, though, for once, I'm not gonna talk about an out. I'm gonna talk about an in. A transfer coming in seemingly, as it's been reported ever since this morning. We told you all as well on socials that Olympiacos seems to be very close to a deal with Sporting in regards to Daniel Braganca, the very talented, incredible midfielder. Is he a done deal? Did it get announced that Braganca is done? I'll be keeping an eye on Twitter, but as I was saying, it's a deal that perhaps is the start of something necessary, is the start of players coming in of quality that will not only help Olympiacos but launch Olympiacos towards the right path. Once again, I didn't see the question marks. I apologize. The comment asks if Braganca is a done deal. It doesn't say it. I apologize for not seeing those. So as I was saying, Braganca is almost a done deal. It's not exactly a done deal just yet. It is reported to be, yeah, that's exactly what I'm getting into. It's very positive that Marinakis Group has good relations with Sporting. And this is where the positives of Nottingham Forest are coming in. Because this deal is reported to be connected with the deal of Ousmane Diomande to Nottingham Forest, which is a deal set to be completed very soon, set to be announced very soon, which of course leads to the aforementioned good relations with the team. Diomande is expected to continue with Nottingham Forest for 40 million plus 5 in bonuses. The Midtjylland had a 20% sell-on clause, which is 8 million. Sporting wanted 40 million clearly to basically agree to a deal. They will be getting very close to that. And if that deal goes through, Braganca will be an Olympiacos player, and it is reportedly said to be close, at least, to a record transfer, as we're talking about an out-and-out deal of over 10 million. It's expected to be 10 million clear in some bonuses. Perhaps it's expected to be maybe over 10 million clear. We'll see. And I do want to get into a bit of a quick look over the player because I've gotten this message on socials as well saying and pointing out the fact that, of course, Daniel Braganca has had two very rough injuries, two ACLs, but there is much more to Daniel Braganca than an injury-prone player. In his career, he's made 107 senior appearances for Sporting, and he has 14 goals to his name. Of course, Daniel Braganca is a Sporting CP born player, basically, as he has been brought up through their academies. He is considered an elite passer. He has elite ability in ball distributions, especially short passing, one-touch layoffs, and dictating the tempo in games in general, especially around the midfield. He does usually get around or over 90% in successful passes. He has an excellent first touch, and he's very, very highly press resistant. He uses his movement very smartly for that to minimize mistakes. He is efficient. He has instincts to press forward and go attacking despite playing the 8. And in the 25-26 league campaign, he scored a very impressive 6 goals from the limited minutes that he had, which more or less averages to a goal in every few shots taken. But in all the positives, you have to talk about the negatives. And of course, the thing that makes Daniel Braganca a high-risk, high-reward player is the fact that he has gone through 2 ACLs. His biggest developmental downfall has been availability. Of course, as he suffered a torn ACL that wiped out his entire 22-23 season, and he tragically suffered another ACL in his other knee in early 2025, which sidelined him until almost early 2026. That's why he missed the first half of last season, and that's why he has had minimal minutes coming in, but relatively a very full, only half of the season. Aside from that, he isn't the best defender, standing at 178. He isn't the midfielder that will give you the physical power. He isn't a midfielder that will give you the aerial dominance, but he is a midfielder that will give you much more. He's very competent positioning wise, as we said. Yet he's not the most aggressive tackler. He's more of a smart player coming back. But it's an up and down case. It's a high risk, high reward case. But if you want my personal opinion before I get to the comments, I'm all in. If Daniel Braganca is fit, if he comes in and gets minutes under Mendilibar, gets a full season relatively, I'll say it with the risk of being extremely called out, but I'll say it. If Daniel Braganca gets a full season, we may even be talking about the best midfielder in the league alongside Santiago Esse. That's how positive I personally am about this transfer. But of course, I'm more than willing to hear all the risk talk about his two ACLs. But I would express and suggest positivity towards a player of such quality. He is not tall. I'll get to the comments. He is not tall. Daniel Braganca, as I said, stands at 178. He's not short, but he's not Ibora, for example. He is a very competent and very movement-based player. He's not short. But getting back, he's not tall. Getting back to the comments, I won't pass judgment just yet, but for the time being, I don't consider him a player suited to Mendilibar style. I did talk about this with a friend earlier on. While he doesn't immediately strike you as a Mendy midfielder, his pressing tendencies and passing expertise and press resistance as well, especially on the attacking form, scream the pressing football of Mendilibar. He's not an elite defender, that's for sure, but he makes up for it in world-class midfield and attacking talent. If Braganca comes eventually, is Braganca, if he comes eventually, the only player in the 8th position? Not. Oh. Well, yeah, technically, yeah. I was gonna call out Musa, but Musa is more of a 6. Musa and Esse flip between those positions, but as a clear 8, because there's also Gustavo Sa that can drop back and play the 8. There is also Cicchini that started his career and started his Olympiacos career as well as a central midfielder, a number 8. There is a lot of players that can cover the position, but a number 8 by nature, he is the only one. Yeah. That looking at it like that, yeah, he's the only one. I hope Mendilibar finds a way to cover the weakness this player has. He doesn't have. Okay, I wouldn't really call his defensive lack of ability, again, quote unquote, a weakness. Because there is always someone next to him, whether that be Musa, whether that be Lolo Scipioni, whether that would be Esse, who's a defensive monster. They're monsters defensively, all 3 of them. It's the first time we'll see a clear midfield of a natural 6, a natural 8, and a 10. Everyone will have their role, and in my eyes, that's even better than what we're seeing right now. But of course, we'll see. And to be precise, he's a tremendous player, but he doesn't seem to possess the attributes of Mendilibar style of football. I think I've made my point in regards to the comparison of whether he is a Mendy player or not. And even if you don't want to look at the style, the quality of Daniel Braganca will make up for him being a perfect fit for Olympiacos right now. I can promise you that. The only parameter and the only risk with this player is the ACLs. No style concerns, no adapting concerns. It's the injuries. Only that, in my eyes, again. When I say he resembles Ibora, I am referring to his speed. He's not that slow. He's more methodical. Daniel Braganca is a possession player. He will play short passing, he will keep possession, he will minimize mistakes. And with his positional ability, he doesn't need to bolt down the field. That doesn't mean that he won't press. That doesn't mean that he won't press. He does help on the press a lot. As Mendy wants his central midfielders to do so, but he's not slow. He's not the fastest. He's definitely not the fastest. But we are talking about a positional-based methodical midfielder, not a box-to-box midfielder. We're talking about a clear-eight, an attacking-minded central midfielder. That's what we're talking about. I hope I turn out to be wrong. I just think that before we keep praising him, we should be patient and see him play on the pitch. No, for sure. For sure. I'm solely talking about the football of Daniel Braganca and his positives and negatives. I'm focusing on the player he is. That's where I'm saying there doesn't really have to be any worries about style adaptation and stuff. Other than that, it's the same as any transfer. We need to wait. First things first, he needs to agree. He needs to sign with Olympiacos. That's the first thing. The fact that we are close to a deal doesn't mean that the deal is done. We've seen it many times, especially this summer, that deals can break down the last millisecond. So let's wait for the deal to be done. Let's wait to see him play for Olympiacos, and then we'll judge him properly. I'm just saying that we're talking about a player that can give a lot to this team. That's mainly what I've been focusing on with this analyzing of the player. And I wanted to give you all, of course, more of a clearer idea of what this player can give, who this player is, because I know that a lot of us don't really watch Liga Portugal. So I wanted to do some introductory research and stuff like that. I get the doubts, I get the thoughts, of course, and I'm here to listen to all agreements and disagreements like usual. But when it comes to high risk, high reward transfers, I don't think you get better than Daniel Braganca, at least in the midfield. And what I do want to point out is the fact that he probably won't be the only midfielder coming in. There are some talks, there is a feeling that Olympiacos will go for 2 midfielders and not 1. So there's that to keep in mind as well. There's still a long way in regards to the transfer. So I would advise some patience. Now, in regards to our second leg and how stuff is going to look, of course, we know that the full list is available to Mendilibar. We know that both Santi Esse and Panos Rechos will be available. We know that Lolo Scipioni will be available. And we know that probably, at least, we are going to go with a very offensive-minded approach to this game. And that offensive-minded approach will more than likely start with Rodinei going back to the right-back position. I am not aware of any Tzolakis injury. If anyone knows anything in regards to that, do update me. But according to Nikos Kotsis and his reports earlier, Mendilibar does plan to use Rodinei as a right back when it comes to the second leg, and probably use Tzolakis as a substitution if he's healthy. Defense wasn't the concern in the first leg. It was materializing transitions into chances on the final third. Rodinei's usage at right back is obviously not a defensive issue. It's so we can improve our final third product. And starting from there, I think that we'll see a much different starting 11 than we expected. I think we'll see a much different starting 11 than we expected. I am expecting Jota for sure. I'm not going to go over the whole 11 again. I made my starting 11 prediction in the previous episode. I'm expecting Jota. I am expecting Zelson to start. I'm still expecting Fortu to start. As long as Esse is fit enough, I am expecting him to start next to Mouzakitis or Danny Garcia. We'll see. And I am expecting truly a much different approach when it comes to the second leg. And the last thing that I do want to mention in regards to Olympiacos FC, because then I want to go to our B team, and then I want to go to the women's side, and I do want to focus on to finish off with some Erasitechnic stuff. But the last thing that I do want to quote is a tweet that I have in front of me that is by the ever so reliable boys of Thrylos 7 International. And the tweet, of course, says that Nikolakopoulos did not report anything new this morning, which wasn't really surprising. Regardless of whether Marinakis wants starting 11 signings or not, we've known that we need a left back, a midfielder, a winger, and a striker. And the half surprise is more than likely the fact that Olympiacos will be looking for a right back. As insane as this is to say, with how dreadful Pablo Maffeo has been, Olympiacos may go out and buy another right back, which is a bit embarrassing and a bit horrific to think about, that we need to replace the signing immediately, but we move. The signings we've been looking for, midfield and left back, have mainly been starter quality. The problem has been outside of the players that didn't want Greece, like Dani Ceballos, for example, who reportedly rejected an offer from Olympiacos, like Salahin, that has rejected an offer for Olympiacos, like the Belgian midfielder that went to Lens, has been the inability / unwillingness to spend the fee to get them. maybe the urgency now brings those players in, hopefully not at the expense of the Champions League. We'll see. There is a lot of stuff running up and down, in and out of the club. And all we can do is simply stand behind the club and be as patient as it gets. Now, moving off the men's team, and for the first time this season, going to the B team. As Olympiacos under 23 have started, their preseason have now played a friendly as well. And I do want to focus on the two newest signings that will play for the B team, and those are the brother of Captain Panayotis Retsos, Dimitris Retsos, who is also a defender, who returned officially to the club after 2 years away. Dimitris Retsos is, of course, a 21-year-old centre back that rejoined Olympiacos, born on August 7th, 2004. He's not 21 then, he's 22. My mistake. He is a left-footed, versatile centre back that represented Olympiacos throughout all of the academy levels in the past, reaching up to Olympiacos B in 2024. In August of that year, he left to join the Polish champions Jagiellonia, where he mainly played for their second team. Then he returned to Greece, and for last season, he had a lengthy stint with Asteras Actor B, and now he's back to help the B team, and perhaps why not get some time in the men's team in the future along with his brother. And now, the signing that will cause a lot of flashbacks, a lot of joy, is the signing of Juliano Lobo de Oliveira. And of course, the two last words that I said will ring a lot of bells, because if you replace the first two parts of that name with Giovanni Silva de Oliveira, you'll realize that I'm talking about the son of the legend Giovanni, the 20-year-old Brazilian attacking midfielder, signed a contract with Olympiacos to join the B team, following in his father's footsteps. And God, even if he is half the player that his dad was, he will for sure, for absolutely sure, create his own history, not only with Olympiacos, but in football in general, like father, like son, exactly. And the last thing that I do want to say in regards to Olympiacos under 23 is that they played their first friendly against the under 19s of Volos, and I do want to go through the match analysis really quickly. It was a 1-0 win, where Olympiacos started the game very positively, having a very big chance to start off with Martinez passing the ball to Sadis, who had his shot stopped near the right post. A wonderful opportunity followed in the 29th minute, when after a cross from Kuchogoulas, Sadis once again hit the crossbar, which of course led the game to halftime. And in the second half, Olympiacos maintained the same pace, the same chances, and the goal came on the 78th minute, with Bilal taking advantage of Tufagis' cross and sending the ball into the net for the final 1-0, which has Olympiacos under 23 starting very positively in the preseason, as this team has a lot of promise and no ceiling. Honestly, no ceiling. Now, incredibly important news and historic news in regards to Olympiacos WFC as our women's football team in their aim to reach the Alpha Ethniki have officially inducted into the team the first foreigner of the club's history, which of course is Nancy Atako Mbaya, who signed with the team just a few days ago. We are talking about an explosive 30-year-old Kenyan international forward slash winger who highly built her reputation as a clinical goal scorer. After developing her game, playing for prominent Kenyan clubs, including the Kayole Starlets and the Kibera Soccer Women's Football Club, she was a standout performer, finishing top scorer of the 22-23 FKF Women's Cup with 10 goals. She has represented her country at multiple levels, earning call-ups to the Kenyan under-17s national team and then later transitioning into the senior team. She did move to Greece in 2024, playing for MSL Flamengo FC, which is Mesologi, and over two sensational seasons, she dominated, racking up 28 goals and 16 assists, which are some wild numbers, honestly. 28 goals and 16 assists. Imagine her next to Benjamin. Vitechnik is in trouble. These girls are gonna dominate once again. And I truly feel like there is no ceiling for this team. I truly feel like we'll see some insane things this year as well. And I did want to end off while you all drop your final questions and everything with some very interesting reports that do immediately concern the Erasitechni, as I wanted to congratulate the newest signing of our women's water polo department, Kata Haiju, who is the MVP of the gold medal winners Hungary across the entirety of the women's under 20 European Championship held in Portugal. Proving the fact that she is one of the best talents in European water polo. She had an insane tournament that rightfully earned her MVP, scoring a total of 10 goals up until the final. And in the final against Spain, she had multiple goals, including a brilliant distant lob during regular time and successful penalties in the 11-round insane penalty shootout that the game went to. I'm so excited to see her play for Olympiacos. I am so super excited to see her play for Olympiacos. And finishing off with what is one of the wildest reports that I have had recently. Of course, we knew that Dani Angial had gone to Malta for a short stint before returning to Olympiacos to start pre-season and the regular season. And according to the announcement of the team he was playing for, which is Sirens ASC, Danny Angial scored the insane number of 89 goals in 16 games. I'm going to repeat that because I didn't believe that either the first time I heard it. Danny Angial scored 89 goals in 16 games for Sirens ASC in Malta. Which, okay, Malta is a lower quality league, but 89 goals, that's insane. And for those of you that don't want to do the math, that number is around 5.56 goals per game. Wow. Just wow. I mean, that's only amazing for him and the form and confidence he's coming back with to the club. But yeah, that announcement still seems just unbelievable. And I want to finish off with this comment saying only Olympiacos, nothing else. And I want to advise you all as we close off to be behind this team no matter what and to not be divided, please. Stay behind as one because especially in the worst of times, we are the best fans in the world. Never forget that. That's about it for today. I kept my eye on you. A lot of you tuned in. So thank you very much. Even if you're watching after, thank you very much. Your support has always been unbelievable. I hope you enjoyed. We have some massive news coming up soon, which I can't wait to share with all of you. And as I've promised many times, next season is going to be so amazing. Thank you all so much. So unbelievably much. And I'll see you all probably on Wednesday. Thank you.